I don't know who needs to hear this today, but your life matters. You have a purpose. I'm thinking about Mordecai when he told Esther, and I'm paraphrasing, "You were born for such a time as this." To illustrate that point, I want to share with you a story about an individual named Thomas. And I want you to pay special attention to the details of this story because it will be important in a few minutes. Thomas was born in 1899 to a father who was a Baptist pastor and a mother who was a piano teacher. And so his life was immersed in religion as well as music. And as he grew, he took a liking to a specific genre of music we call the blues. And that love would lead him down a different path. As a teenager, he began to sing in nightclubs and other venues where blues was oftentimes sung and played and appreciated. It would be a number of years before Thomas gave much thought to the Lord. It would happen as a young adult. He married Nettie, and I guess you could say he started to settle down. And in doing that, he began to teach music and he began to write Christian songs. In fact, he was one of the first ones to use the phrase gospel hymns or gospel songs. He began to develop quite a name for himself. He began to be very sought after at conferences and revivals and events like that. He had accepted an invitation in 1932 to a revival-type meeting in St. Louis, Missouri. As the date got closer, he had second thoughts about going because, you see, his wife and he were expecting a child. And the last month of her pregnancy had not gone very easily. But for Thomas, a commitment is a commitment. And there were people who were anticipating him being there. And so he got in his car and he went to St. Louis. He performed and everyone was so awestruck by his performance that they began chanting for him to come back out and to sing some more songs, which he graciously did. And as he left the stage the second time, a messenger boy from Western Union brought him a telegram, and he opened it, and the telegram simply said, "Come home, your wife has died." He sped home to Chicago, and when he got to the hospital, his emotions vacillated between extreme grief at the loss of his wife and great joy at his newborn son. That vacillation would cease in less than 48 hours and turn to utter despair because his son too died as a result of complications from the childbirth. He buried both of them side by side in the same casket. Grief is overwhelming, especially in the immediate aftermath of it. We find it hard to focus. We find it hard to do tasks. And this was certainly the case for Thomas. He canceled events. He quit writing. No one could fault him for this, given the nature of his grief. But for most of us, with the passing of time, our grief begins to be something that we are able to manage. It is said that time heals all wounds, and whether we think that is true or not, time certainly enables us to deal with grief more efficiently. His friends tried to talk to him. They tried to help him in any way that they could, but nothing seemed to be able to help. A friend of his, who also taught at a neighboring university, realized that he needed to try and do something. And so he invited Thomas to his studio on the campus one evening. And they sat and talked for a few minutes, and then the professor friend left Thomas in the studio to his own thoughts. Thomas was sitting in that studio. He was looking across the way at a wall of windows, floor to ceiling, and they faced the west, and the sun began to set, and Thomas noticed the shadows beginning to appear on the wall and on the floor, and most importantly, on the piano over in the corner. In Thomas's own words, he says that he felt inexplicably drawn to that piano, and so he got up and he walked across the floor and he sat down at the piano, and one finger began to tap the ivories, and then another finger, and another, and then both hands. No, he wasn't playing a familiar medley. Unbeknownst to himself, even, he was writing a song. And then came the words to that song. I want you to listen to that song. And as you do, I want you to think about Thomas's story leading up to that fateful night in 1932. I want you to put yourself in that room. As you listen to the words, I want you to appreciate this song in the context in which it was written and the context in which it was given to the world. The song that you are about to listen to is performed by the Lipscomb Academy High School Concert Choir under the direction of Dr. Robert King, who has led singing several years back at one of our own homecomings. And when the song is over, I'll be back. Thomas Dorsey, take my hand, precious Lord. It wasn't an easy road for Thomas Dorsey, but he found his purpose. We might even go so far as to say that he found his calling. He became the first African American to be inducted into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame. He was the first person to receive the Gospel Music Entertainer of the Year award. And his archives are entrusted to Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee. That fateful night in 1932, Thomas Dorsey wrote a song that has comforted and encouraged countless Christians. It also affected his return to the Lord. Your life has a purpose. If you don't know what that purpose is, I challenge you to find it. Because I believe that you, that I, that all of us are here for such a time as this. And if you know your purpose, then it is vital that you fulfill it. Just ask Esther. Just ask the Jewish people. I have nothing but big love for all of you. I hope your week is going well, and I look forward to seeing you on Sunday.